Stay a while and listen. Oh, wait. That's the wrong game. All right, we're back with another commentary version of Let's Play Sierra Games. This time we're doing Hero's Quest. So you want to be a hero. Better known to most people as Quest for Glory 1. The reason I played Hero's Quest is because I am an old man and I've been into Sierra since I think the first game I got was King's Quest. It's either King's Quest 1 or Leisure Suit Larry 1. My friend Sean, his father had shown it to us, and I was immediately enthralled. So when Sierra was coming out with games, I was getting them as soon as they came out. So I was fortunate enough to get Hero's Quest when it was still called Hero's Quest before they legally had to change the name to Quest for Glory. So here we are, we're in the character sheet. I created a character name that sounded very heroic. I did pick the fighter, because to me the fighter is probably the easiest one to play in this game. Mostly because you're dumping points into strength and basically like your valor or stamina to build up a bunch of hit points. So fighting things is much easier versus trying to use magic in case you run out of magic points. And versus a thief who is relying pretty much on stealth to avoid most of the fights. So I did pick the fighter, and I will say when I decided to play Hero's Quest or Quest for Glory, I was gonna play all five, like just back to back to back. But after playing this, I realized because Hero's Quest, Quest for Glory is very different than your standard Sierra game. It is not just a puzzle game where you're just trying to find out the next thing, get this to use this, to do that. Uh, just like any other RPG, you essentially have to build up your character. So there are times where you're going to engage in a fight that you can't win because your character is not yet strong enough to do it. And this happens multiple times to me. There's multiple times where I'm forced to try to run. Sometimes I don't make it. There's a few times where near the end you'll see I tried to go and fight the Minotaur, who is one of the guards for the brigands. And after numerous tries, just couldn't do it. I tried to fight the troll Fred, who is inside those caves. After multiple times, couldn't do it. So I ended up going back out and essentially training myself by going to where the goblin camp is and just killing them over and over and over and over and over again until I'd basically built up a great amount of strength, endurance, and weapon use. So once I had that done, I was able to basically go back and, finish some of the fights. But that said, here we are. You are in this town. It's a very small, quaint town. I would hardly call it a town. There's like 6 buildings. Um, there's different things you can do here, just like the female centaur. You can buy various fruits and stuff like that. What you're going to have to do is buy apples from her. And I don't know the exact amount. I think I just bought 10. But later on, you're going to encounter someone that says, hey, if you bring me food, I'll trade it and give you something else in exchange, which is a shiny gem. So I ended up coming back and I think buying another 50. I've not looked at a walkthrough to see what you need. So it's either 50, 40, 30, 60. I don't know. So there are different things here. And pretty much when I was doing this, I was just walking through all the areas in this town to basically kind of show it off for the walkthrough to say, I went into the magic shop. Even though I'm a fighter, there is nothing I need at the magic shop. And I went into that little tavern. The only thing you really need at the tavern is you'll find a note. I think you find a note that talks about these people who are meeting. And so you just need that note to essentially make that encounter happen, or it does not happen. And if that doesn't happen, the location of the brigands doesn't happen and stuff like that. So here we are, first time fight and kill a goblin. So I will say earning money in this game is, there was a time where I hadn't rested and a second goblin came up on me and I couldn't beat him, so I had to restore. So highly encouraged if you fight something and win, save, and I would not save over your latest game. I'd create a new save. And something you'll see me do, just like I've done in the other Sierra games, where it gets to a point where it says, hey, it's full, you have to replace one of them. What I do is I go into the directory, create a folder that says, in this case, like HQSG1, which stands for Heroes Quest Save Games 1. I take all the games, put it in that folder, go back, and stay in the game and basically go back, escape out of saving and then go back into saving, and now it's blank because now it no longer sees any saves games. And I do this over and over and over again to create multiple saves in case I do need to go back. So we're still in the town. We've just gone into the inn and you can order food here. There's a number of places where you can get food. You can get food here. You can eat food that you purchase. You can also, if you find Earnest Peace, you can eat the fruit there, which will satisfy you for days. And so I was randomly talking over it. When I was in the guild hall earlier, there's a billboard that basically talks about different quests that are available that you can get rewards for. And one of them is, she says her ring is missing. So up on that nest, it's too late now, you can see something glistening up there. And basically if you're the fighter, you just pick up rocks and chuck rocks there and your throwing skill will increase. And you can just keep picking up rocks and throwing it till that nest comes down. And another trick that I do after fighting, if I'm low on health, what I'll do is I'll pick up rocks and throw a bunch of rocks until my stamina is like all the way down. And then I do rest. And it says you rest for 10 minutes. And that brings up both your stamina and your health. I mean, it's not much in terms of points, but if you've been in a fight and you don't have any healing potions, throwing rocks, bringing down your stamina, just staying on that screen so no other monsters come at you, and then hitting rest a few times to get some hit points back is a nice trick to do. And if you're a fighter, this guy will come out and you can practice with him. And when I did this, I don't think I actually ever beat him to the point where he kneeled to me to say, hey, you won. But what I typically did every time I came to him is I would work on a different skill. So for example, I think in this instance, I was just working on building up parry and dodge. Yeah, so dodge in this case. So I wasn't really doing too much with weapon attacks. I was mostly focusing on dodge. And sometimes I'll focus on parry to build those skills up. So weapon use is very easy to do because every time you fight, you can do it. And I'm one of those people in Quest for Glory, when I get into a fight, I just swing to attack. I am not doing parry. I'm not trying to dodge most of the time. I'm just trying to swing and stab and kill first. So one of the things you can do is at the stables within the castle, you can go in there and sweep, and he'll give you 5 silver, so that's a way to earn money. And you can also rest in the barn when it gets late. So you can see I'm doing a mixture here of just ducking, dodging, parrying. And then every time just hit Control S to look at your character. And then Control T is also a useful thing to know because it'll tell you the time. Overall, the only thing you really need to worry about with time is when it starts getting dark. And you can kind of see in the graphics it's getting dark. So you'll notice that even the layout is showing you it's getting darker. Like they've did a great touch of making like the grass slowly get darker as it progresses. And the only thing you really have to worry about is at night. There are monsters that come out that are much more difficult than the monsters you find in the daytime. Namely the Cheetar, which is an insanely difficult monster because it has a lot of hit points and it hits really fast. And then there is the Troll, who hits really hard and has a lot of hit points. And I think I was saying something earlier and I totally got sidetracked because I have ADD apparently. Earning money is very difficult to do in this game. So when you go to the guild hall, there is a number of quests that you can do. For example, one of them that I was talking about before I went off on a tangent was the healer's ring. If you get that, it's a nice, easy quest from that nest. And there's other things like save the Baron's daughter, save the Baron's son. and stuff like that. So there are a number of quests here that will help you earn money, but until you get to that point, it is difficult to get money because you're just basically getting silver. And to improve your armor to the chainmail, if you're a fighter, it's 6 gold. And 6 gold is hard to come by. And see, that's where I died, so I had to restore again. And so some of the monsters, such as those, when you say search body, it'll say, oh, you know what, there is no treasure. However, if you talk to the healer, some monsters that do not have treasure, for example, the cheetar, they will actually, what you want to do is get their claws. So cheetar's claws, the healer will pay you for those. So you want to be sure to talk to her about the different monsters in the land. For example, she'll also pay you, I think, 2 healing potions if you bring a troll's beard to her. So it's a nice, easy way to get some healing potions that will help keep you alive. And that's the pain, is not having a lot of money in this game and not being able to, just basically stock up on healing potions. So the reason I restored there is I went to the graveyard, pulled out the mandrake root. You can only pull out the mandrake root at a specific time, which you will learn from someone in the game. Spoiler alert, it's Baba Yaga. Also, if a monster is chasing you, you can run into a screen that is not just basically forest, and they'll stop chasing you. So this goblin encampment that I just ran from, because I am low on health, I'll come back to it frequently. So there's that white stag. You follow the stag, and I don't know if this is common lore about the stag and stuff like that, but in a series of books called Dragonlance, there is also a part in there about a white stag leading them to safety in the very first book of Dragonlance. So this is Baba Yaga's hut. And you pretty much want to stay away from there because I made a mistake in the game where she turns you into a frog, and there's a way to avoid it because you have to do a mission for her. But if you don't have what's needed, you can't do what she asks you, which I mentioned earlier is getting that mandrake root. So as you can see, when you're first starting out as a hero, uh, you are very unheroic because you're pretty much forced to run away a lot because you don't have the money for the healing potion, you don't have a lot of health, your weapon use isn't all that great, your health pool isn't that great, your strength isn't that great. Everything that would make you a hero is not that great yet. So a lot of times after 1 or 2 fights, you literally have to run away from even a goblin, which is fairly easy to beat. Um, but yeah, so um, it does force you to run a lot, which does make the game drag on longer. So if this was a hero at full strength, what I was at the end of the game, and you start with that, you could probably beat this game in probably an hour. But if you watch the non-commentary version, you'll see it took me almost 7 hours to beat the game. I do think it's funny that you can pick up rocks and say throw a rock at board, and he just chucks them in a random direction. Like that is nowhere near the board of what I'm trying to throw. Like if I'm trying to improve my my target practice here. And I will say the healing potions do not, when you drink them, they do not take you up to full health. So after you drink a healing potion, be sure to hit Control S and look at your character to see how much health you did get back. So you can ask her about different ingredients that she needs, and she'll tell you about how she needs like mushrooms, which you can get easily, some flowers from Ernest Peace, which is also easy to get once you find it. So those are some ways that you can make a little bit of coin. Again, it's not that much. So, and then these are the meeps. So this one came a little bit from muscle memory. Um, of the Heroes Quest games, Heroes Quest 1, or sorry, Quest for Glory 1, is probably the one that I have played the most. So some of this was muscle memory as to what to do or how to beat some of the puzzles. So that was an example of like, I just stab until I win. So the Dryad had mentioned that she needs a seed, and this is the seed that you need. So as the warrior, what you can do is you can keep trying to chuck rocks until you eventually hit the seed and you're able to go get it. So we'll want to bring that back to the Dryad. So a lot of the times when I'm walking around, so far at this part, I'm still actually also drawing a map on a piece of paper. I did have an old map that I had drawn when I first played Heroes Quest, Quest for Glory, way back in the day. I had it folded in the box, but I wanted to do this clean, like no hint book, no map. So as I'm exploring, I'm literally just drawing this stuff down as well. And this is one of those things that I was talking about where save game was full and it said, do you want to replace one? I actually go into the directory, move them into a new folder, and then it opens up a spot. I do think it's interesting that the fighter by default does not have a good trait in climbing, that it's more of the rogue skill. And that's another thing I should say. If it's each skill that you have, if it's based on a specific class, for example, magic is, for the magic user and climbing is for the rogue. If you're a fighter, to put points into that cost extra. Like if you want to just increase your weapon use, it's 5 points. It takes up 5 points to use it. If you want to put 5 points in magic, it costs 15 points to use it, or something like that. So it does cost you. You can technically mix. So I can make a fighter that has some magical abilities if I wanted. But that takes away from putting points in other things because it costs so much to put points into something that is not specific to your class. So we've made it back to the Dryad, and since it's nighttime, apparently she's sleeping. And the Dryad place is a safe place to sleep also, so she'll protect you. You cannot sleep out in the woods, you'll end up dead. So there is only a few places where you can safely sleep. One of them is the Dryad. One of them is like Ernest Peace, in the barn, in the castle, and then at the inn. But I tried a few times, like get room, sleep, or whatever, and it didn't happen. So the mushroom ring that I just passed, you have to go there at night, and there'll be fairies there, which we'll see later. I don't know if it was easy enough to see, but I said use potion. It says you don't have any. And then I wrote, damn it. So when you ask about the Dispel potion, she gives you the ingredients as to what she needs. And one of them is green fur. And we just saw a Meep who has green fur. So we know where we have to head back at least to get some of this. And the other thing was fairy dust, which if you know anything about lore, if there's a circle of mushrooms, that means it's a fairy ring. What I call the Goblin Camp is probably one of my favorite screens, especially when you end up fighting like 6 or 7 of them back to back, and then when you're done, there's like just a bunch of bodies all scattered around the screen. I would have loved just an area dedicated to the goblins, like you go in their cave and go after them and stuff like that. Honestly, I think the goblins were some of my favorite. Their appearance were some of my favorite in this game. Them and the cheetars, because cheetars look pretty awesome too. So that one didn't work out for me. So essentially, all I'm doing here is building up my character. I bought a number of healing potions, so I'm basically just fighting, healing, coming back, fighting, healing, coming back. And this is what I'll do later too, in order to be strong enough to fight the Minotaur. Um, I eventually fight like 7 or 8 goblins back to back, several times in a row, so that I could build up my weapon and strength and vitality. The downside is if you do not have a lot of stamina when you come to practice with this guy, you will not get much practice in, because it is based off your stamina, how long you can last to fight him, or practice with him, I should say. And that is the downside. So if you forget to save early, save often, and you perish, the practice I just got and all that stuff doesn't matter. So things clearly look bad, so we're going to go to running, because I don't have any health, and anything that attacks me is sure to kill me. So we arrive at Earnest Peace, and we can sleep here. And I won't talk about what you can find here. If you do something with the rock, if you're a magic user, there's something there that I remember. So not much in the terms of health. I have 7 hit points. So again with the running, because there's not a lot of health there. So we still have more components to get. So with that, we're able to get a healing potion, get some health back, and go running around. So I tried get fur, ask for fur, and all this other stuff. Ask about green fur, and then he'll finally do it. As well as give you some apple core, which you don't need, so you don't pick them up. So now we need flying water and the fairy dust. The flying water is easy, and the random bug, or not bug, the Easter egg, sorry, of codename Iceman with the submarine. So the flying water is just waterfall. So now we just need the fairy dust for the dispel potion. And the dispel potion doesn't even come in until very near the end of the game. So getting it early. So it's midday, so we need time to burn off before the fairies appear. And that didn't work out. If I commented on every time it didn't work out for me, I would just have a pre-recording of me saying, and that didn't work out. Because I do perish quite a bit in this game. So we burn some time by doing the stables, but not enough time. So I'm just trying to trick time into going by going back and forth between screens and hitting rest, which will say 10 minutes have gone by. But I'm not wanting to go too far because I want to stay near the fairy ring. so that when night comes, I don't have to go far. I don't have to jeopardize myself. If I were smart, I would have saved. Like, there we go. Because I've been walking around making time go by, so it'd be a waste to die before night. There we go. And so eventually they'll ask you to dance, and you say, yes, I can dance, and you just dance. And it asks, what do you want? And you say, ask for dust, or ask for fairy dust. So it was hard to see, but when I was running just now, there was like a spirit floating around, because if you go to the graveyard now, if you get too close, spirits will basically siphon your life away and you just die. It's not like you slowly take damage, you just die. And there is a potion that prevents them from being able to kill you. This thing is persistent. So there was a file number 8 that when I incorporated it, it'd become corrupt, wouldn't import. And whatever I did, I honestly don't recall. I'd earned 3 points for doing something, but I don't recall what it was that I'd done. But the only thing I noticed between file 7 and file 9, since 8 was broken, was the 3-point difference. And this is one where if you're not a wizard, as far as I know, there's actually no point in doing this. Other than it's another good way to burn down your stamina by purposely answering incorrectly so that you can hit the rest a bunch of times and try to recover some health if your health is low. It's just me being snarky, saying that this layout right here looks a lot like the house in King's Quest IV when you first walk in, the haunted house. Not this part, but the right inside the doors. It looks exactly like the King's Quest IV haunted house. It is a good idea if you are a wizard and you do need to come up here right when you get to the top, just save. So that if he teleports you down, you don't have to climb back up. Unless you are, again, purposely trying to burn down your stamina to be able to do the rest several times and burn some time. Low on health again. So we're going to go ahead and run and try to get somewhere safe. Seven health is not that great. And so she has given us the Dispel Potion. She talks about how the dead man, or the mandrake, has to be pulled from a dead man's grave at midnight. So it must be near night because at the town, both the sheriff and I forgot his name. It's not Goon, but both of them are missing out front, which means night is probably approaching. And that was a close fight. 2 health left. So if you do sleep in the barn, he automatically makes you work the following day. And you can tell when it's clean because there's no brown stuff around the inside of the barn door. You can do some fencing. So since I was at 0 stamina after sword fighting, I believe it'll let you go up to half of your stamina before it says you're too impatient. So again, it looks like my save game is full. So what I do is go into the game itself, move them into a new folder, and then I can save new games. But as you can see, I don't have that much in terms of money. All I had was 0 gold and 29 silver. But feeling pretty good. Uh-oh, and there's a number of goblins. And the downside is, with the goblins, if you run, even though you've killed some, it doesn't matter. If you run, those that you've killed do not stay. So I restored a little bit back, get some healing potions, and can't afford to buy anymore. And as you can see, that didn't turn out well, so I had to restore. So we're going to walk around this side of the area I've not mapped, and he comes and says, come any closer and I'll kill you. But he says you can barter, and you give him a meager selection, and that's not enough. So we need to go buy more apples. Which, when you don't have a lot of money as a hero, buying apples is very difficult. So I bought 50. I'd already given him 10, and as it says in the save game, no idea how many apples I have to give him. Wasn't even sure when I bought him 50 if that was enough, if it was actually like 100 that he required. So just so turned out at least he needed 60. Could have been 30, could have been 20, could have been 40, could have been 50. But he gives you a glowing gem. This we will use over at Baba Yaga, at the fence, or the gate, if you will. But again, you can screw yourself if you go to Baba Yaga too soon. So one of the things that the healer said she would buy is flowers. So I ended up just F3 enter a bunch of times, as you can see flashing by, and ended up picking like something like 350 flowers, or 315. And it turns out she doesn't need that many. I don't know how many she needs, but 315 was way too many. And this brigand was going to chase me until I got to the garden. So we're going to try to sell some flowers to her. And keep doing it. She says, thanks. I have all the flowers that I need. So she only needs 10 because I have 305 left. So it's only mid-afternoon, so it's not going to let me sleep anywhere. And only 6 health. So here's the quest that I was talking about. They're on the quest board for the guild hall. It is a way to make some money. Back inside the castle. And if you try to see the Baron beforehand or even ask him about the reward, no can do. It is not until you rescue his son where the Baron will actually see you. And the cool thing about sleeping at Earnest Peace, as you can see there, it restores health to your max and stamina to your max. So if you want to fight, this is where you do it. Well, not here, but you rest here and then you're ready to fight. That's me being fancy, dodging back and forth. Because you can do that when you're at full health. You can be silly and try to build up other skills. So you can see dodge got up to 40 now just from messing around with these goblins since I had full health and feeling confident. And if you can't tell from the garden, if you go straight left, you eventually end up at the goblin camp, which means I'm ready to fight a bunch of goblins and be silly by doing parries and dodges and all that fun stuff. Just cut through all these goblins. So much running. Desperate to buy chainmail, but not enough. Now keep in mind he does sell rations, which you will need later. Just picking up a bunch of rocks and burning off some stamina. Because I have 9 health, so I want to bring that stamina down so that when I rest, I can try to pick up 2, 3, maybe 5 hit points. And it also, builds up your throwing, which other than knocking out the nest, I don't know what good throwing did me. I did try to get creative twice. You'll see it in this playthrough, where after you overhear 2 people, you have the option to attack them. And I did so by throwing rocks at them. I didn't stay to see if the fight would last all the way. But he was throwing daggers and I was throwing rocks. And then later on, there's also a kobold. And just because he's a little bit inside this ledge, I wasn't sure if I hit fight, if I could reach him with a sword. So I didn't know if this is how I was supposed to fight him with throwing rocks. And it seemed to be going well. It looked like I was hitting him, and looked like it might have been the way, but it was taking way too long. So when I eventually go back to that kobold, I ended up using a weapon which went much faster. I should add, you can also rest at the hermit's place. I can't remember if I mentioned that as a safe place of resting. That was pretty much a lucky fight. Just 1 hit point. So again, doing the same thing. Pick up rocks to throw and burn the stamina down, and then type rest a bunch of times rather than sleep, and try to bring up a few hit points. So every time you see me randomly throwing rocks at a screen, that's what I'm doing. So the reason I ran from that goblin is I wanted to fight this ogre at full health, see how far I could get him down. Wasn't sure if I'd be able to beat him, which I was surprised that I could. And so he does have a chest, and if you're a fighter, what you have to do is force the chest open. What do you do with wild animals? You feed them. I wasn't sure if that was the right thing to do, but apparently it does sedate them. And it feels like there's more that you can do here. Unfortunately, if you walk in a certain position, you actually can't go to the right of the bear. So it took me a while. I remembered a kobold somewhere in a cave and couldn't find another cave. So I knew it was this cave and I kept coming back and not being able to pass the bear. And each time I came back, it was costing me another ration because apparently the bear does not remember, hey, I just fed you less than 10 minutes ago. Like I haven't even rested for that 10 minutes. I just walked out and came back and you forgot who I was. So every time I came by this bear, it cost me a ration to try to figure out how to get past him or where the path was to walk past him to get to where the kobold was. And see, that's what I mean. And I have no rations of food, so I can't feed them. Which means going all the way back to town, killing everything that gets in my way out of frustration, and getting coin, and getting some rations. Assuming I can get to town before nightfall. Which looks like I can. Yeah. Uh, every time I come to him, I just write buy chainmail. Even though I know I do not have enough yet. These things are just coming at me like left and right. And there it is. I just realized I put the wrong past. I put P-A-S-T. Should be P-A-S-S-E-D. So, Wrath, if you're watching this, yes, I realize I typed that incorrectly just now as I'm watching. Wrath is someone from the Sierra Help forums, which, hey, by the way, since I'm not really having much to talk about, I did open that chest, which awakens a kobold, and because the chest is booby-trapped, does an immense amount of damage. So the better plan, which takes me a while, is to try to take care of the kobold first while I still have more health. But I am already damaged, so not a good idea to try to take on the kobold just yet. But I'll do it with rocks. And see, this is what I mean. Like literally, I just fed the bear, and he'd already forgotten. So this is where I do my rock plan. And I notice that his spells miss me, so I start chucking rocks at him. Like I said, it seems to go all right until he just dodges every time I throw a rock. Um, anyway, what I was saying is Wrath is someone who is on the Sierra Help forums, which if you go to sierrahelp.com/forums, we are a friendly community of folks who love Sierra games. It's a small community, but we're always looking for new people who love Sierra games. So if you're watching this and you're like, what? There's a forum still? It's not a social media page. Yes, it's a forum, which I prefer over social media. Less toxic. You can have fun. Um, but he is someone who's very intelligent. He is someone who's well versed in a number of things. A lot of times when I post things about D&D, like I DM several games, and I always do summaries and write notes about it and stuff like that. If I have typos or anything like that. A recent one, I talked about how a harpy was lunging at someone, but I put lung someone, and then I put like a tattered, um, what was it? A tattered porch, and he asked if it was supposed to be shattered, and actually what I was looking to write there was a battered porch. Um, so he definitely catches those typos and stuff like that. So Wrath, yes, I do know that I spelt that as P-A-S-T versus P-A-S-S-E-D. And so just giving you a shout out, bro. And I'll say Wrath is also the main reason I thought I would do Quest for Glory next, because we do a number of Sierra forum games or forum games and stuff like that. And one of them is like try to guess what I am inside of a game. Like you would pick like Baba Yaga's Cauldron or something like that. Something that is unique, not just a rock that is on some random screen, but like something that is fairly unique. So like Baba Yaga's Cauldron. And I won't say it's 9 out of 10 times. It's like 9.5 out of 10 times. The object that Wrath will pick is something from one of the Quest for Glory games versus anything like King's Quest, Gabriel Knight, Leash Suit Larry. 9.5 out of 10 times it's a Quest for Glory game. And it's a game where you can only ask yes or no questions. So you would ask, are you green? Are you purple? You wouldn't ask, are you in Quest for Glory 1, 2? Are you in Quest for Glory 1 or 2? Like, you can't ask that question because it's not a yes or no question. So whenever it is Rat's turn and he is the one who currently is like in charge of that game, the first question I always ask is it in Quest for Glory? Like, is it in the Quest for Glory series? And 9.5 out of 10 times, the answer to that is yes. So I thought I would play this game because he has watched some of my other commentary videos. But the problem, like I said, is it does take time to build up these characters. And even though overall the playtime ended up being equal to what I played, for example, for Police Quest 4, it took almost 7 hours to beat Police Quest 4. The constant dying and stuff like that, I just thought what might be funner to do is every once in a while, like I did King's Quest, Larry Space Quest, and then Police Quest, and then I did Quest for Glory 1. So I might do like a couple of other games like Manhunter 1, Manhunter 2, Phantasmagoria 1 and 2, Gabriel Knight 1, 2, 3, and then do Quest for Glory 2. And then, that way, because the Quest for Glory games do require like building up your character and stuff like that versus just trying to solve the puzzle. So I thought those would be fun little breaks in between versus just playing Quest for Glory 1 through 5, because it would take me a while. And it already takes me a while to do these anyway, so I didn't want to take even a longer time. I have set up a bunch of videos to publish at midnight, which is currently, as of this recording, in 10 minutes, California time. But those are all music videos from Sierra Games, they're Sierra Music that I made videos to. And so I am almost out of those. Like, I have a few extra ones that I made. Like, I made one specific for Halloween, which includes some of the creepy soundtracks from like things like Phantasmagoria, Gabriel Knight, and other games like that have a weird, creepy vibe sound, like shivers. And I did one for Christmas. So those are there, but I am almost out of those videos that are there just as filler while I do these playthroughs. So I would say I'm almost at a weekly to bi-weekly release for these, because it usually takes me about a week to save the game, then put it into an editor, render it all together. What I try to do, it's not as obvious in Quest for Glory because of how many times I perish. But if I'm playing and I get to a point where, I'm just done for the day, whatever, and I quit, and then, the following day or even the same day, if I play a little bit later, what I've done is I take out where it says quit and I take out like the beginning start, So that basically it goes from right before I quit to right when I restore, like right after I restore. So it doesn't look like there's an interruption of the game. And so this is where I messed up because I'd gone to Baba Yaga and I thought I had the undead potion, and I don't. And you can't get the mandrake that Baba Yaga demands of you. And if you don't get it by the dawn, um, she turns you into a frog and pretty much kills you. So there's nothing I can do here. I thought I was being funny because I did knock and it says there's no response. So I typed knock louder. So at this point, because I did not know that Baba Yaga would kill me, I'm still trying to play and see if I can do something. But the end result is she will kill me by the time the sun comes up. So you can see I was at 1 hit point, and then I did rest a bunch of times and got up to 10, so I was able to recover 9 points from that. And there it is. Where's my mandrake? And she kills you. So I actually have to restore before I go into her hut. So now I've come here and I've bought the undead potion. Now with the undead potion, I can now do the Baba Yaga part. The command is Hut of Brown. Now sit down. So this part I feel like took a little bit longer. They had to cut some of her dialogue to make it shorter. So she tells you I need a mandrake and it has to be pulled precisely at midnight. Because if you pull it before or after, it just crumbles in your hand. Use the undead potion. And it's not midnight yet. So stab the goblin. So we're going to go ahead and use the undead potion, get the mandrake root, and yank it out. So now that we have that, we can get back to Baba Yaga safely, or as safely as you can in this world where everything is jumping at you at every screen. And the tingling thing, and then there's another message that'll pop up, which is just telling you that the undead potion is wearing off. Now, if Baba Yaga annoys you, don't worry. Well, depends on which ending you do. I accidentally did both. Because after I saved the Baron's daughter, I went to the castle to collect a reward, which actually triggered an ending. And that ending is the bad ending because I did not go after Baba Yaga. So I ended up restoring, and I only showed the recording that's the good ending, where after saving the daughter, I went after Baba Yaga. And that gives you the better ending. So it is possible to get a good but not so good ending if you do not take care of Baba Yaga and get your revenge on her. Utterly fearless, have no health, and I'm fighting things. Trying to get up to Ernest Peace. Again, no health, and taking things down left and right through sheer luck. So again, the best place I think to rest is Ernest Peace, because it does restore full health and full stamina. I assume you can rest at the inn because that's kind of what inns are. But like I said, I couldn't get it to be able to rest. So now that I've rested at Ernest Peace, I am going to fight. And sure enough, if you just type fight, he draws this sword, and you just have to keep moving back and forth to deal with the kobold, and he turns into a key. The mushrooms that you pick up there, I don't think have any use at all. I couldn't think of any use. And before you leave, make sure you do get the chest, force it open if you're the fighter, and you'll take damage as it explodes, but that's going to give you some gold. And with that gold, you can now buy chainmail. Chainmail is heavy, so if you don't have adequate strength, it will slow you down and also burn up some of your stamina. So when you unlock the bear, it turns out to be the son of the Baron. So now we know we can get even more gold by going to the castle and speaking with the Baron about the reward. And I will say, for the first few times, if you watch a non-playthrough, when I went to the guard, he would say, I'd say open gate, and he says, "Are you talking to me?" I would type yes. Just hit open gate again, and he'll open it. So don't bother saying yes. So the Baron thanks you and says, "Hey, you know what? Tonight we feast. Tonight we will party." And forces his son, who is quite arrogant, to also thank you. So after that, you go out the next morning and continue your adventuring life. Just trying to see if the guy who I could practice with shows up by going back and forth. So now we can buy chainmail. And unfortunately, the only thing he really has is daggers. So just buy some daggers. So now we're just dropping all the extra flowers, since even days later she doesn't need to buy more. So that's what you see. It's F3 and then enter over and over and over. And still 135. So now that we have extra gold, we're also going to stock up on potions. So we've got chainmail and potions. Fighting is about to get a lot easier for the most part, except for the Minotaur and Freddy the Troll. So if you look at that stool at the top, looks like there's something underneath the left leg, and it's a note. And that's also where, if you're a thief, that's where the Thief's Guild is. So when you read the note, it says, "Hey, meet me at the archery thing," and this is where you overhear where there's a secret passage into the bandits, and also what the password is needed to ensure that Freddy the Troll does not attack you. And just as a spoiler alert, the key is where the Antwerp is, and the password is hide go seek. So hide and go seek. And this is where I threw the dagger at the guy a few times and then ended up throwing rocks at him. If you exit the screen too soon, the other guy finds you and kills you. So just keep that in mind. You don't even get a chance to fight him. Got so many items I can barely move. And basically what's going on here is these two plan on overthrowing the current leader and taking over the brigands. And here we go with the dagger stone fight. I do wish I would have stuck with it to see how long this would have lasted going back and forth. Because when I ran out of daggers, I don't know if you saw, because it goes by pretty quick, but I end up picking up rocks and then I start throwing rocks at them. So every time it says you're out of rocks, I'd pick up more rocks. Kind of wish that they had a health bar so you can kind of tell if you're actually really hurting them with rocks or not. But having had it, I just get over there, go around, stab them. Even at the run, it's barely moving. So I dropped kobold mushrooms, which is enough. And I mean, you can see one rock over here to the left that looks very unusual, not where I'm standing. And that would be Freddy the Troll. So you do have to be standing in the doorway when you say hide and go seek to make Freddy back away. Freddy pounds the hell out of me. So I try the other way. And the Minotaur will soon pound the hell out of me. I barely put a dent in his health before he takes me down. I think I try a few times to go after the Minotaur, like maybe change my tactics and get some rest in and maybe try some parry and dodge in between the swings, try to time it when he's hitting me. It'll result in me losing again, which is going to result in me hanging out at the goblin camp and laying waste to them repeatedly. As you can see, they both tore me apart before I even dented their health. And seeing how easily the goblins go down basically gives me the idea of let's just go to the goblin camp and build up our weapons. And you can see I'm at this point pretty fearless because I have chainmail, which is protecting me much better. I also have healing potions, so I'm taking down cheetars now. And another cheetar. That one's going to kill me though, because I was already more than half health down. Pretty much every time I come out of the screen, monsters seem to pop up, which is nice because I'm basically either getting coin or claws for it. And I don't think that's like a normal thing. It just happened to work out that way that every time I came south of this, the majority of the time, a monster popped out. So now our vitality is at 100, which is the max in the first quest for glory. Any stat cannot go above 100. Which vitality at 100 is nice because that is what essentially, as far as I would guess, determines what your health is. Overloaded with Cheetar Claws because that was the last thing I picked up. So we're going to go to the healer's hut now that it's daytime, get some cash. So we're now at 17 gold, which is nice. We can buy a number of healing potions. And you can see that I'm driving him back. So a little more stamina. Definitely drive him all the way back. All right. And this is where we're just going to go ahead and begin massacring goblins to build up the stats. Kill, search, heal, kill, search, heal. Rinse, repeat. See, look at all those bodies, just everywhere. And they all have silver. Some do. There's actually a few poor ones that say they have no silver, so. But at this point, with that much gold, don't really need it because we've got our chainmail as a fighter and we've got a number of healing potions. And plenty more we can buy because still have 17 gold left. I don't even know how many goblins that was. It felt like that was like 10. So what I do is I rest after each fight. Then when needed, I'll quaff a potion. But pretty much just rest to get some health back. And that time there was one too many goblins. But now it's time for revenge. I took a potion. Now they all die. So the weapon use is at 98, almost 100. So now we're just going to head up to Earnest Peace if we can. Get some rest. Eat the delicious fruit. And now, if we can, what I was planning is make it all the way back down to where the brigands are without getting in a fight too late. I mean, we have healing potions, so not a big deal. But as you can see, everyone is out to stop me from getting into the brigands' base, including the army of brigands chasing me throughout the land. So we'll stock up on some more healing potions. Weapon use is 100. Strength is almost there. It's at 80. It's going to take too long to get that up to 100. So we'll stack up on some more healing potions. Many more. All right, almost the game directory is full, so we'll take those games, move them out of that folder, escape, and go back in to have a blank. So we're stocked up on healing. Next, we're going for the brigands. All right, set the secret word. And now, ta-da, down goes the Minotaur. Search the body, and in his weapon, he has some coinage. So consume the healing potions. The Minotaur is down. Let's go for Freddy. Looked like Freddy was going to win that fight, but pulled ahead. So make sure if you do this, you do take his beard, because the healer will give you stuff for the beard. But it doesn't really matter too much because at this point we're almost at the end of the game. So if you search Freddy's pile, you do find coin there. And what you do, it's just a blank note. What you don't want to do is ring the bell. So this one took me a second, but it gives you a clue. So it looks like you're going to have to force the gate, which is what you do with the kobold's chest as well as the ogre's chest. So you kind of get used to the idea that as a fighter, you're forcing things open. And this next part took me quite a few times because there's a number of traps. So it's funny where it says use me cross. On the carpet thing, you don't want to cross there. And then the other bridge says cross here, and it seems like it might be a trick, but it's not. That's where you want to cross. So what you want to do is once you get over here, I thought you could climb over, but you actually have to look up, which is kind of lame because the only way to know about that is to die from it. This took me a while. So you have to basically close the door, lock it, move the chair in front of the door, and then push uh, the candle thing down, jump on the table, swing on the rope. It's a whole mess of things happening in this room. And it took me forever because the candle thing I didn't figure out for a long while. Which in hindsight looks like it makes sense because it's right there. But I kept trying to jump on the rope, thinking you'd pull it down on top of them because that's vaguely what I remember. But there's a step you have to do before that, which is pushing over that kind of brala thingy. Thing that holds the candles. So there was a lot of dying in this portion here. Candelabra. But didn't do it in time. As I said, you'll see me die on the screen a number of times. I do like that the three guys are essentially the Three Stooges. Oh, Lord. This part. And this is what I don't get. Uric or whatever his name is. Like, why is he trying to stop the hero if the hero is there to help the Baroness? I guess he could think that the hero is there to kill her and not save her. But he is an ally of the Baron. Just seems odd he would try to stop the hero. part was absolutely irritating. I didn't think this part was fun or funny at all. I mean, it's bad enough with the traps that he also throws stuff at you. Like, I feel like it's unnecessary. So what you have to do is go into that door to the right, pull that rope, and then get into that open door as quick as you can while he's pelting you with stuff, which is absolutely irritating. So the best thing to do is save while you're up there, pull the rope, and then see if you can get through the door. And if you can't, just restore. And then this leads to this blue door, which is even more confusing. You have to open it, but move out of the way. And then open this door as quick as you can. And really, as fast as you can, you have to throw the potion at her, the dispel potion, or else she just jumps over and kills you. So it is literally as she's jumping over, you have to type use potion. And then you find out it's Elsa, which is the daughter of the Baron. And there's that stupid wizard Yorick. Then you hear that the brigands are breaking in through the door. She does mention that there's potions in the desk and that there is a mirror. Yorick says if you want to get revenge, use the mirror to reflect back. And that is to imply to use the mirror against Baba Yaga. So since I was stocked up on healing potions, it's nice and easy to be able to save. And look at that, wipe through that cheetar in no time at all. But now it is nighttime because everything is closed. And a troll. And a cheetar. Like everything is out now. Now that the brigands are done, everything wants to kill me. Literally every screen, something has jumped out at me. Every single screen. So game directory is full, so we're gonna move those into a separate folder and then save in a blank one. Again, every screen, something seems to be chasing me. Every single screen. It's like it knows that I've basically won the game and it's doing everything to try to kill me before I can win. So originally I came in here and sold the claws, and then I went up to the castle to what I thought would be collect my gold for freeing Elsa. Um, but that gives you the not so good ending. So thankfully I had saved there in the healer's hut. So I restored there to go take care of Baba Yaga. So you're only going to see the good ending, not the you failed to defeat Baba Yaga, so he's still cursed. So I highly recommend saving outside in case you do not get in there. I had hit use mirror and I was just hitting use mirror so that it knew when the time came to turn her into a frog. And so she sends you away, and then Baba Yaga leaves. And then that automatically ends the game. You don't even have to go back to the castle and have everything try to kill you along the way. And it says, thus the hero from the east has become a true hero. And you can see the title at the top. So you've become a hero with a score of 464 out of 500. So that is quite a bit of points missing. So I don't know what I missed and where. Probably just different conversations and stuff like that because Esrus and Zara and a few others I didn't talk to. Being a fighter, I didn't really have anything to gain from them except for probably just knowledge. And so you fly away with the cats from the inn, which is really odd because in my game I hardly spent any time with them. And they show you Hero's Quest 2 Trial by Fire, which obviously, due to legal reasons, is actually renamed to Quest for Glory 2. And I couldn't remember what I had my drive mapped as so that I could actually save the character and then import him into Quest for Glory 2 when I decide to play it. And there we go. It has been saved. And that's it. So if you enjoyed this, thanks for listening. Do tell others about it, this channel. I'd love to get more subscribers. Do me a favor. Use your sword and stab the like button, and then use some magic and hit subscribe. Thanks. Have a good one.